So, episode 3.
Yes.
Wow.
I know.
Exciting.
It is.
What should we talk about today?
Oh, we didn't do the things.
Oh, do you want to do Mrs.
yeah.
and Mrs.?
I forgot we had that. I got excited, didn't I? I forgot.
Mrs. and Mrs. Minute.
So I always say that Hannah is my podcast wife. So I thought for this season we could have a, the Mr. and Mrs. show. We could do a Mrs. and Mrs. So what are we going to do? How many questions were we going to do? 3?
No, let's do 2.
2 each?
Yeah.
Okay. You've got them on your phone as well.
Oh, okay.
So I'll go first. So I'm asking you about me. If I could take one thing to a desert island, what would it be?
Herbalife.
Yeah, it would be. Yes. Yeah, it would be, actually. Because I'd be fine, wouldn't I?
I didn't actually think I'd get that right.
Oh, yeah,
Oh.
it would be. What's my guilty pleasure? I don't know if it's guilty. If it's not a secret, is it guilty?
It's probably something that you would like to tell everyone about.
Okay.
But watching the Kardashians.
Oh, reality TV, yeah.
Oh, I know you so well.
Okay.
So, what can I choose? Got a list here. If I could have one superpower, what would it be?
Oh, be invisible.
Exactly right.
Is it right?
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Invisibility.
You could do anything being invisible, couldn't you?
Yeah, and
but
be
you
a
still want the
fly.
ability
I'd love
to
to be a
pick
fly on
things
the
up.
wall. That's the thing I want to do. What's my middle name?
Elizabeth.
Correct. Well done.
There you
I'm
go.
proud of you.
Yes, we nailed it.
So, episode 3.
Yeah.
We have the wonderful Thomas Burgess.
Good morning.
How are you?
I'm all right. How are
Good.
you?
I'm good. So, mental health for men. What a catalyst it is at the moment.
Mm-hmm.
We're really grateful for you to come on and share your story, to give another level to the audience in this podcast, and no doubt a relatable story for many linked to the military. So, let's talk about your military story. Where did you serve? How long were you in for?
Yeah.
What type of experiences you had, etc., etc., and then we'll go on to the challenges.
I just want to link back very quickly to Desert Island. I would be a bit more pragmatic. I'd probably take a knife and a metal pot to cook some water and some food in.
You can only have one thing though.
No, definitely a knife then.
Knife, okay.
That's talking from someone in the military, so
Okay.
he's got skills you don't have.
No, that's true. I just shake my breakfast in a tub. Exactly.
No, well, the military for me started, I think the idea of it when I was 13. The cadets, the air cadets was on my school campus.
Oh, wow.
And that's where I got the idea for it. My granddad was in the Navy, and he instilled that almost, that's what I aspired to be at an early age. And yeah, by the age of 17 and a half, I was like, that's definitely where I want to go and join up. And because the Air Cadets was on the same school as mine, it was just a natural thing for me to go on and do afterwards. So at 18, I put pen to paper and joined the RAF Reg, and served 14 years.
Wow.
All in all.
So what types of places or what do they call it where you get sent somewhere?
Deployment.
Deployments did you go on?
Well, there's a few different names, but I call it going on tour.
Yeah.
So it was at an early age. My first tour was Iraq, 2004. So 3 tours of Iraq in the early years, which was an eye opener for a young Tom, wet behind the ears, straight out of school.
Limited life experience.
Yeah, very little. I worked at WH before that.
You knew a good quality notepad.
Yeah, I worked at the
you
DVD
found a
section.
station?
Oh, the DVD. That's not
DVDs.
That's probably don't even exist anymore, does it?
Probably not, no.
No.
But yeah, hours and hours spent opening up those hard plastic cases and putting
I have
DVDs
to say
and
though,
shuffling them on.
as a very big, weird fan of stationery, I would have loved to have worked in WH Smith.
Would you?
Yeah.
I think it's quite pricey,
It is quite pricey, but I mean, it's all
I love
bloody
Paper
lovely.
Chase. That was my favourite.
They've gone bust now.
They
There's
have.
something about opening a fresh hardback A4
Yes.
book
Yes. The smell of the paper.
Yeah, and having
And a new pen.
a nice little note written in there by a special lady that you got
There you go.
in your life.
Oh.
Tom's wife is in the room.
Yeah,
He is talking about her.
yes, I am. Yeah.
So lots of different tours.
Yeah, so three. The early years were Iraq-free, all in Basra. So those that have been out there and know it, it's called the Cobb Contingency Operating Base, and it was Saddam's old international airport
Wow.
for the south of Iraq, and tent city. And we stayed over on the last two tours in a place called Waterloo Lines, which was essentially a compounded, gated area with some ISO container, like Corrimec accommodations with a metal dome over the top. Apparently, that was to stop fragmentation and damage, but we know that wasn't always the case, unfortunately. So sometimes things came through them, and sometimes they went through the siding, through the gap, and ended up hurting people through the rockets. But I'm no SAS soldier. I didn't lead a very punchy career. I just did a long time and enjoyed what I did. But certainly, if we're talking about mental health, and what's contributed to my decline in mental health through my life, the 2007 tour. We had a really hard time, as did a lot of blokes, boys and girls, on that tour with rockets and incoming. So it was a tough time, and unfortunately we lost a few men on that tour. Good friends.
What does military life look like when you're in it? Like a lot of discipline, training.
Well, it's never-ending training. So work is training.
Yeah.
So turning up to work on a 9-to-5 job in the UK, you've got your processes and your things that you do. Well, in the military, in 6 months' time, we're deploying to Iraq or Afghanistan or Africa or wherever it is. So every day is leading up to that. It's a giant project. So you put in all of the things in place. Everyone's got to be qualified to do X. If you've got drivers, they've got to be able to drive, and everyone gets ready for that deployment. And when you're on it, you just do the job. And it's very hard to sort of explain what the job is, because it's different on one tour to the next.
Every day, I expect as well, looks different, does it, when you're there?
Yeah.
You don't know what's going to occur, do you?
No.
Yeah, unpredictable.
Yeah, that's life.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, massively.
Yeah.
So, through your journey in the military, what do you feel like your biggest mental health challenge was whilst in it?
Not being honest with myself about the fact that 2007 had a massive negative effect on my mental health. Losing 3 friends in one go.
Wow.
And also, the narrative I held for myself is I should have died on that tour, because there was a couple of situations where if I'd have turned left, I wouldn't have been here. If I hadn't have said a few choice words to an individual, I would have stayed in one bed space and slept there whilst the rocket came in and took out my mate. So fate really did,
Pave the way.
Yeah. And the unhealthy part of my mental health story is that I should have died on that tour. And that's what I've had in my head the whole way through, up until quite recently, where I survived and I lived to tell the tale. So it's survivor's guilt, moral injury, call it what you want. I just I had the wrong words and the wrong understanding of it.
I think that's quite a common feeling, isn't it, in the military? My husband's dad was in the Marines, and he was a sniper, and his best mate died. And they took it in turns, to go into wherever they were doing when they would take it in turns, and it was his turn, and his mate took over. And he's carried that narrative his whole life.
Yeah.
Still now.
Yeah. But it instills such a you know, that camaraderie feel, that looking out for your oppos. You know, his safety is my responsibility. As a corporal, as a junior commander, my responsibility is to look after 8 men. If one of them gets hurt, it's my bag. And that's through CBT therapy last year, changing the feeling behind the word responsibility. We didn't really get there. It was just talked about, and it's something that I'm learning now, that it's not my responsibility if someone decides to do something off their own back and get hurt. You know, but my responsibility was to make sure that my job was carried out and the processes were in place to make sure it was as safe as possible. You can't stop a bullet flying through the air, can you? But
no, but you also can't stop guilt or the feeling of guilt when you're in a position of accountability and responsibility, because that's a natural emotion that you carry related to anything, military or not. Do you think that there's a stigma attached to the expected mental health impact of being in the military?
Well, the military needs men and women that can stand up and just crack on and do the job. There is good chat about people opening up and talking about mental health, and I believe that there are, you know, really good things in place that are actually looking after people in the military right now. I know the early years of my career, it was talked about that it's okay to talk to your corporal and open up, but there's that bravado. You know, you're wearing this cloak of, you know, uniform with a flag on your arm, and maybe you've got rank. You're what people look up to. So if my sergeant was going wobble, you know, that's a terminology used in there, or putting pencils up your nose, like it's not a good look. So you just crack on. There's
an expectation that I guess that doesn't happen or isn't seen to happen.
No, it doesn't, and it's a shame. You know, I've got a vision where, you know, because people join the military, they may come from a troubled background. You know, the military is really good at recruiting from particular areas and places around the country where, you know, you've seen the Navy advert where it's born in wherever and made in the Navy. Like, it's like, we'll take you from wherever you are, like, you know, you've got no hope, no outlook, no job prospects, whatever, and we'll give it to you in the Navy. So
it's an interesting concept to expose through the media, I think, without any real context.
And on the other side of that, I really agree with that commercial. I'm not knocking it, because joining the military got me out of working in some retail shop for the rest of my life.
And also keeps you out of street trouble, doesn't it? Like a lot of lads,
antisocial behaviour.
Yeah, a lot of lads I know would get in trouble fighting or whatever, and keeps you
and
out.
I know that nowadays cadets is still a thing, right? It's not,
I don't know.
I think there is, but actually you don't see adverts on the media about being a cadet and inspiring and encouraging the youth to know that that's an option. All you see is the how to go from kind of a 16, 17-year-old straight into the Navy or the military.
What I will say is I'm in recruitment, that's my job. So when we do job fairs, there's always Navy and Marine spots to recruit, but to talk to people. You know, this is a career option for you. And we work in Marine recruitment, and we're really keen to talk to those lads as well to go into the Marines or go into the Navy or go into the military and learn the trade as well while you're there. So then when you do come out, you've got a career that you can feel into, because that's known as hard to come out as well, isn't it? And then just crack on with civilian life, something you're not used to.
Yeah, I wish I joined up in, I enjoyed the RAF Reg. I very much enjoyed running around with gun and, you know, backpack as a young kid. Like,
despite all the bad, like, who would not want to do that?
Yeah, but, you know, it's not all cool. But it's, if I'd have joined the military and gone and into a traded role, like talking like Sparky or MT mechanic or something like that, I probably wouldn't have enjoyed it as much as I did, doing
Yeah.
the
I
infantry.
guess you don't get the hands-on experience, do you? Like
No,
of military life.
I enjoyed being an infantry.
Yeah.
That's what I aspire to be. It didn't really serve me getting out of the military because, like, the only route out of the military to do that is go and do close protection, private security work on the circuit.
Yeah.
And that's just reliving the same mistake, and it doesn't bode well if you've got a relationship that you want to foster and grow up and have kids in a family with. So
yeah, of course. So when you came out of the military, were you kind of at a crossroads of what to do, or did you have a kind of an aspiration to do something in particular?
I needed to get out. I'd outgrown the military. 10-year point, I was umming and ahhing, like, you know, there's something else for me to do in life. I've lived this now, I've done it. Plus all the tours. I lived for going away on tour. I did 6 in total, back to back. The last one I volunteered for, they didn't need me, but I said, no, I'm staying on, I want to do it. It was easier away on tour than it was in the UK. And I recognised that I wasn't well, but I didn't have the courage to go. Yeah.
I'm done.
Yeah. Good heavy drinking problem, and just isolating myself from my wife at the time, and, you know, grumpy. My body was breaking, and I was done. I recognised that bit, but the hardest part is just admitting the fact that there's something wrong. You know, in all of it, you can just hold on to it. If you have I got a drink problem, if you're asking yourself that question, then there's something inside that's actually pushing you on to have that conversation open. And it wasn't until last year where I actually admitted to myself and being honest to myself that I did have a drink problem, and I've carried it right the way through my military career. And hid it well, because it's a big culture.
I was just about to say that it's a military culture, isn't it? Drinking.
Get smashed.
Yeah.
That's like, you know, what day is it? It's Tuesday. Let's get down the bar.
Is that a coping thing, do you think? Or is that a social thing? Is it a release? Is it a combination of all of those things? Or is it just a habit that, you know, because you went in young, there'd be older people, they're doing it.
I guess a habit that's maybe encouraged by the fact that everyone else around you is doing it.
Yeah.
That's your arena. There isn't anywhere else you go. So therefore, if you don't do it, you're kind of the anomaly who sticks out like a sore thumb if you don't.
Yeah, blend in. Why? You know, we're cavemen and women at the end of the day. We want to be in a tribe that is similar to what we do, how we look, how we act, and how we talk. And if you put yourself on the outside of that tribe, you know, why is he different? You know, he's not one of us. You know, so you blend in.
Yeah, of course.
And you say the words and you do the things to make sure that you fit in, because everyone wants to fit in and be liked, right?
Yeah.
So it's fair to say a year ago your life was very different mentally. Yeah, pretty much. Well, it's just over a year before I sort of like admitted that I had a drink problem, but it's the year and a half, 2 years, 3 years before that where it's sort of escalating and getting, you know, more of a thing, you know, and yeah, really tough period of time. COVID didn't help, you know, didn't help a lot of people. I know that. So everyone's locked inside the doors. I caught COVID, and the first thing I did was celebrate by opening a bottle of wine. So, right, if this is it, I'm going out in style. You're not the first person I've heard say that as well.
No, I drank. And just the time at home, I drank so much. Because sounds ridiculous saying this now, but what else was there to do?
Yeah, there's a deadly disease running around the world trying to kill everyone.
Let's just
That's the knowledge we have
beat everyone to it and drink ourselves silly.
Yeah, but, you know, carried on that maintenance level of alcohol after we went back to the real world.
Yeah.
And what did that look like for you? If we can share a little bit about that, because other episodes, people have shared their story behind going sober. Is this a like I only drink Wednesday to Sunday person, or is this I need a drink every day person, or what did that look like for you in terms of a coping mechanism?
It's Tuesday. Let's have a drink. Get home from work. Let's open a bottle of wine. It's a nice day. Why not? Let's open a bottle of wine. It was just too easy to get into it. And there are times where I've been on my own and like there's no reason to, and I'll just get smashed.
Yeah.
Kate would go. She'd be doing a night shift or out with friends or something else. And it would be right. Let's get the wine on, and we'll have a couple of cans as well. And by it's 1 o'clock. No worries, I've got to be up at 6 in the morning. Let's have a nightcap before I go to bed.
Yeah, but how common is that in households?
I do that.
That phrasing.
Don't do that.
What
I've
you
done
said
that.
is, we got home from work. Let's have a bottle of wine. I know from growing up with my parents, having kind of the French element in our lives. That is very normal. That is, we'll have a bottle of wine before dinner, we'll have a bottle of wine with dinner, and I'll have half a bottle of brandy before I go to sleep every day of the week. And that's kind of a European culture built into that. Yeah. But from a person who then recognised that the drink was kind of an addictive element of their lifestyle, to other people, that they would then question their use of alcohol, of whether that was an addiction or whether that was just normal for them.
The word addiction there, it doesn't have to be alcohol for me. I've got an addictive personality.
Yeah.
If it's alcohol, if it's over exercising, if it's working too hard, if it's put anything in it, if it's skydiving.
Skydiving addiction.
Well, if you've done it once and you enjoy it, it's
Tom's wife has literally got her head in her hands.
And I did that for quite a big period of time, but the point I'm getting at is I didn't value my life.
Yeah.
Fair.
And there was, you've got to wave off falling through the sky, skydiving here, and you've got to wave off and let everyone know you're about to deploy a canopy. I would say, no, I'm going to be the last one to deploy the canopy.
See how far you can get.
Yeah, like play chicken with planet Earth.
He was playing Knockdown Ginger.
I've never heard this before. Knockdown Ginger, she was saying on the mouth, I was like, what the hell is that?
But no, yeah.
With gravity.
Yeah. But it's the second bounce that kills you, so you just hug onto the grass. That's what I've heard anyway.
Hug onto the grass.
I mean, you'd hope they would hopefully they haven't cut the grass.
Oh no, I was going to say, please let me land in a cornfield.
My skydiving instructor told me that. His name was Geordie Best. He did like a drink. He's a really nice guy as well.
I hope he wasn't drunk when he took you up there.
Ask me another question.
The answer to that, Kate, is yes.
Do you think it was that euphoric feeling that is what is addictive?
It's that,
because you get that with drink, don't you? You get that with it's that sort of fuzzy, euphoric feeling that you get just before you drink too much, or I imagine you get that. I've never drunk to have a plane, but I imagine that is a huge feeling you get.
Yeah, it's that anticipation of the buzz.
Yeah.
Sat in that plane, engine turns on, you're going up, climbing
I hate
to
flying,
altitude.
So that would be my worst nightmare.
I love flying.
And I was in there and I was like, I was the adrenaline was starting to come through the body. I was like, yes, this is it.
Yeah.
And then they open the door and like people start bailing out. I said, right, my turn next. And I got into a ball and I just cannonballed out this plane.
Oh my God.
More often than not.
Did you know any of this, love?
This is before we met. But
right.
It was.
I feel like Kate might need her own episode after this.
Get into a ball and hold on as long as you dare.
Wow.
That I was like, right, okay, I can do that. And I just got out and I just held on and it was like skyfall, spinning. I was like, right, okay, let's let go now.
Huge way for your brain to hold negativity in terms of not having any self-worth.
I had the narrative that I should have died in Iraq and I was living on borrowed time.
Wow.
That's just the thing. So, but now, and at the time, the people and the environment and where I was, it wasn't there to look after me, because I was doing a very good job of saying I'm absolutely fine, and glazing it all over.
Mask we wear.
How do you move your mindset? And no doubtedly, in the last year, you've maybe gone on a bit of this journey. Is how do you move from feeling like you have no self-worth, and when you're jumping out of a plane, you're quite happy to play chicken with the grass, to understanding the role of somebody who goes to war in the military, knowing that there's potential for people to not come back, but having understanding and acceptance that you did your role well?
The turning point for me was when I'm looking in my wife's eyes. I'm having a massive breakdown in the living room. I'm screaming at the top of my lungs, like, fix me. Like, what's wrong with me? Fix me. You're a healthcare professional here. What would you do? So yeah, that's what I say. Like, people could call it hitting rock bottom, or getting
being
so
brave,
low.
Actually, I think
It's
being
the most courageous
asking
thing
for
I've ever done.
Yeah.
Like, honest, open, and willing. They're 3 words that I'd heard around about the same time. That didn't really resonate with me. But if anyone's out there right now is like even thinking that there's a slight problem, or they've identified struggle and suffering in their life, I'd just be honest with yourself. Like, before you talk to anyone, just be honest with yourself and identify the problem, and actually admit that there is a problem. I'm talking about this now. I can feel like I've just said that there's a problem. I just feel like a little bit of a lifting.
Yeah,
I'm okay. Like, it was getting quite tense leading up to that word. Yeah, okay. There's a problem. I've identified that, and I put things in place now that are getting me stronger every day. And it's been over a year.
So what does that look like in terms of your toolkit of mechanisms to kind of keep your resilience building at a balance that suits you?
Well, it started with honesty.
Yeah.
Called the GP. Right, I need help. I must have said all of the right things which ticked those boxes for, middle-aged man, military, drink, at risk. Yeah. Because very quickly afterwards I had a crisis call with a mental health professional. And at the time I was like, I'm fine. I'm not at risk. But I've obviously ticked all of those boxes that historically, looking at men that have committed suicide, I was in that category. I found myself there. I didn't plan to get there. I drifted off into that area. And from there, it went through to CBT therapy. Okay, once a week on a Friday at 10 o'clock. At the time, it was a good thing. I know a little bit different now. I think differently now. But it was required. It's that first step. But I'm like half a mile down the road now in recovery, and I know that there's a difference to what I need to do now. And it's every time I sense that thing coming up, like this impending doom or whatever that feeling is, I've just got to go, right, okay, just stop, have a think about it, and just admit what's going on, how my emotions are controlling my body and my voice, and just communicate it to those around us. Okay, like with Kate, it's like, if a couple of days ago I'm feeling like proper like angst and red misty and really pent up, and instead of being the old Tom and just carrying on and pushing through it because that's what we need to do, right, okay, this is what's happening, this is how I'm feeling right now, I'm letting you know how I feel, and just being honest with the woman that loves me. Definitely. So
I think there's a real stigma behind the PTSD type experience, ex-military, Navy, those types of arenas, police, even in nursing for me. Definitely outside of COVID, that's been a huge catalyst in medical services. What advice would you give men to find the courage to talk? Because I think society's stigma really shuts them down and silences a lot of men to know that actually it's okay not have to uphold this masculine character or bravado just because the world says you're not allowed to cry.
Well, I think it comes down to the responsibility of absolutely everyone here. If you're a friend to someone else and you can identify and see that they're in a rough patch, be a friend. You've got their phone number, you've got their WhatsApp, just send them a high five emoji or something. But down to the individual, you know, just take stock of where you are in life, and just make an assessment of right now, because yesterday's gone. Tomorrow ain't here yet. Right now, be present with how your emotions are presenting, and what you can do to make right now a little bit easier. Some breathing exercises, brilliant, like Wim Hof on YouTube.
So cool, isn't
Epic.
it?
Like,
God,
I come out of that
for
feeling like,
ages,
I'm a real fan of ice baths. Just bought
I mean, I don't mind a cold shower, but not an ice bath.
I started ice showers that not ice, cold showers.
Ice showers,
not ice showers.
that'd be interesting.
They feel like ice when you start them. But we've been looking at one of those Lumi, you know, for
Do
the
it.
garden.
Yeah, as long as you've got the means to make the ice.
Yeah.
So Hammer Freezer real close by, but in the garage. But the sensation I would get when I was skydiving or going out night clubbing,
That
just getting
adrenaline rush.
that pump.
You get that with ice baths.
It's longer lasting.
Yeah.
It's throughout the day.
Wow. I've heard that.
Yeah, Kate did hers this morning, and on the drive in, her words were, "I'm so relaxed."
Really?
I'm like that with cold showers. I know it's not as cold, but after my walks and runs in the morning, 100%, like straight in, cold shower, job done.
And it wakes you up, doesn't it?
It lasts.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's a good bit of kit, and it's something that it's been advised to me to take on board from the CEO of the charity in America, Save a Warrior.
Yeah.
He does it daily,
Wow.
down to 0 degrees, and he does like 8 minutes. He's a bit, intense, his character.
How long do you do?
Well, whatever the degree is. So if
That's
it's
how
10
many
degrees, I'll do
minutes it
10
is.
minutes.
Yeah.
But I think it will never get less than 5 minutes. I'm just going to hold 5 at the temperature, but we're yet to get there. I'm building into that.
Yeah.
It's only 3 weeks since I've had it, but I know I've
And you
noticed
do
a
it every
massive
day?
Yeah.
Do you do it in the morning?
morning. Yesterday we did it in the evening.
Just quite like that after 30 degrees.
Yeah.
Do it in the evening.
Does it wake you up though? So like, would you still sleep well if you? I know that sounds stupid, but I've heard that people that I know that do it in the mornings says because it just really wakes them up.
Yeah.
So maybe like a 4 o'clocker or something.
Yeah,
Maybe not
I
at 7
do
o'clock.
it in the morning to get that feeling or whatever wake in the day. But I'd say if you was going to do it in the evening, just don't do it seconds before you get into bed because that's just it's not cool.
No.
And it's shaking like a cold dog in bed trying to warm up. But no, it's a good bit of kit, and that's just another golf club for the golf bag. It's just another thing.
Completely natural bag.
Yeah.
Completely natural.
Mm.
Amazing.
So we've got honesty, we've got ice bath, looking at the toolkits and things from what you asked. Light exercise. I used to be, I'm big into doing charity events and that in my life, and the last big one was an attempt at a 100-mile run. I managed 91 miles before I cramped in. But I know that all of that was another thing, just diving head on into a task and the training for that and isolating myself away from the problem and the thing. At the time I wasn't drinking, but I'd swapped it out for overtraining. So dissociation, and it's essentially this triangle. You've got a big healthy dose of shame for something that's happened in my life.
Yeah.
And then I'll go down and I'll deny it. No, it didn't really happen. I'll tell myself a story or tell someone else a story to sort of like cover up what it was. And then I end up skipping past the route out of it, which is grief. You've got to access your grief to get past this thing. End up just numbing with alcohol or whatever it was down there, and you end up just doing this triangle of life.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned Save a Warrior.
Yep.
You co-found or run the UK side of the charity?
It's early days with the UK charity for Save a Warrior. We're gearing up for the launch next year.
Nice.
But we're doing everything we can now to put the message out there to people that A, need to know about us, but B, businesses and organisations that want to help and support us.
Yeah.
But myself and Adam Gornell, we're the co-founders for Save a Warrior in the UK, and we've got the full blessing of the US team. It's been running for 12 years.
Wow.
To bring it over to our shores.
So ultimately, it is a charity who serve and support ex-military or current military.
So it's military, police, fire, and frontline paramedic.
Okay.
Essentially, that frontline uniform service, and whether they've served a day or 14 years, or still serving, they can submit online. Not yet. Okay, I'll say that not yet, because we can't do it just yet. But when they do, they'll submit that application form. They'll turn up to us. They'll experience a 3-day residential retreat where they'll receive, the love cannon, as it were, and they'll open the doors of honesty. And the teaching from that, it's such a transformative experience. I went over to the States to sit the seat because I was lying to myself on the way up to it. I'm just going over there for a recce with a notepad, and okay, that needs to go there, and all right, so we need these things here, and the chairs need to be sat like that. And 5 minutes before they opened the door for me, I'm stood there, I'm like, fuck. Like, I'm here because I needed to be. And that's when I started crying. 72 hours later, I was still fucking crying. So it was, and tears, grief. That's the way out of this. You've got this pressure release valve on everything. But the whole of my life leading up to that point was this compression and twist, and getting tighter and just squeezing the life out of the towel, and that last little drop, and it was there. And when someone looked at me, they looked me in the eyes and said, I know why you're here, and this is not going to go your way. This big outstretched hand, like, buddy, I know why you're here. And that was it. Like, powerful stuff.
Yeah.
So,
life changing.
Yeah.
Yeah, it enabled me to really change the narrative. So I put down my armour. I initiated into civilian life from the military at Save a Warrior. I put down my shield. I put down my armour. I've been carrying the weight of the dead since they all died.
Yeah.
And it was my fault, or it was I should have been in their place, or whatever the thing was, carrying it daily. My wife would say, "What's wrong?" Nothing. I'm fine. Carry on. How are you? Like, yeah, you. Like, you all right? I was just carrying it, and I put it all down inside of this this labyrinth, this maze, and walked out of there. Me.
And lighter, I imagine.
You have no idea.
Yeah.
No idea. I valued my life. I have got more gears in the gearbox to keep pedaling through.
Do you feel like you have a new purpose now?
I have purpose. I was a husband beforehand, and that was serve my wife and serve our life, and that was purpose. But the declarations I made there essentially were almost like renewing the vows of my life, if you want to call it anything. So I declared that I would be a husband, father, leader, and love. They're the 4 declarations I made, and that's what Save a Warrior does for you. You identify the thing. You know, what is it that's made you sick? You know, you get complete with your past. You through talking therapy or role play, someone else standing up there in front of you and pretending to be, you know, whoever it was in the past that's wronged you, and apologising to them for making you wrong, right? That's an interesting concept. But then declaring to the world, to the men in that room, the universe, to myself, that I'm going to change and this is going to be different. And then after the 3-day aspect of it, there's 500 days of reintegration through a community-led support group, and that's the essential bit, really, because you can learn the new words and how to act, but if you don't integrate and instill it and do the fucking work, you know, hashtag do the fucking work. You know? It's a thing, you know. It's my friend Steve, who I was on the course with.
Oh, he actually has embraced it.
Hashtag
do the fucking work.
Subtle plug there.
Yeah, Steve, thank you, mate.
Love that.
I've been looking at that. I thought, that's a nice bracelet.
Yeah, but it's every morning, you know. And I'm not great at the morning meditation, but I've got to do a 20-minute warrior meditation. I've swapped it out for the ice bath. That's still just as...
It's a form of, and I think when you're going through self-development, and I know that you've heard me talk at networking events as I have heard you speak about your story, self-development is such a broad term that there isn't a one-size-fits-all, and just because you do meditation in the morning or journaling doesn't mean that I should do it or it works for me in the same way, because we're all very different. We're all completely wired very different, and our experience is very different. So when you look at things that you need to have in your toolbox, I definitely wouldn't jump out of a plane, that's for sure. But the mechanisms that we build are what creates the resilience to be stronger and stronger and stronger every day that we wake up. What does life look like now for you in terms of your internal reflection on Tom?
Now I'm in a healthy relationship to all of the things that were making me sick beforehand. I'm in a healthy relationship with alcohol because I told it to do one. I don't do that anymore, and I never will.
So you're sober?
Absolutely, yeah. I won't even touch non-alcoholic drinks because it's that mental connection, that sort of like, it's a thing.
Hand.
I can cheers someone and toast at a wedding with fizzy water in a champagne flute if you want. If the bride looking at me wants to see everyone with champagne in hand, the contents of the glass doesn't make that cheers any better or worse,
or unloved or anything.
Exactly. So, but that's just something I have to do for me. How do I see myself now? A complete, whole, purposeful, loving human being that is on a mission to stop men and women committing suicide in work. You know, that's my purpose. That's the charity piece. My work, digital presence, my company. That also has mental health tied into that as well. You know, because your business might be doing okay, but the part digital presence in the product that we've got, it helps to like make the whole team holistically better by touching in on mental health coaching. So it's that's still where I like to be. Outside of that, my wife and I we're trying to become parents. Desperately want to be a father. And maybe I wasn't ready for it to be a father before I'd gone through this journey. There's a healthy dose of honesty right there.
Everything happens for a reason, and I'm a huge believer of that.
Yes, I would.
So I'm a better man now than I was yesterday, and I'm light years ahead of where I was this time last year. So I'm looking forward to what tomorrow brings and what next year brings and the year after that.
Keep going and going and going. So where can people contact you and get in touch? Because obviously there might be some people who this story resonates with, who've been through similar. And obviously the charity's not yet available for people to contact through, but are you happy for people to contact you directly?
Definitely. So Instagram, you can find me, it's Off the Cuff Together. And scroll back to the early videos, because in January, that's when this all really started for me, the mental health
quite raw
push.
for you in the January videos, quite fresh.
The reason I started was a friend of mine killed himself over Christmas. I was on basic training with him, and it wrenched me, because I was just starting to learn this new language of mental health, and I felt like I didn't get there in time.
Yeah, that guilt again.
There it is. So, you know, if I'd have done a better job, maybe he would have seen it, and Kempi would still be here. But knowing what I know now, it's not my responsibility for his life. The military let him down there because there was 3. That was his 3rd attempt. So if you're that friend, if you're that person, and you identify that someone in your life is going through hard times, how you doing? High five emoji. Send them a love heart. Knock on their door. Buy them a coffee. Just let them know that you're there. Because
the same quote again from previous episodes. Silence kills when talking saves lives. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
I know some of that's really difficult to talk about at times, but we both really appreciate the honesty and raw that you've shared. And if anyone has resonated with Tom's story or would like to get in contact to talk about his journey anymore, then please follow the details that he shared on the episode.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Cheers.